Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing my Week 7 recap. We're going to start out with the Thursday night football game, which was the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New Orleans Saints. In this game, Trevor Lawrence threw for 204 yards, had a touchdown, no picks, kind of a pedestrian game, only completed 20 passes. On the other side, Derek Carr threw the ball 55 times, completing 33 of them, with one touchdown and one interception. A lot of these throws were to Alvin Kamara, a ton of checkdowns. He had 12 catches for 91 yards as a running back. Quite crazy. He also had 17 carries for 62 yards. Nothing much brewing there. On the rushing side for the Jaguars, Travis Etienne had 2 touchdowns, but only averaged 3.8 yards a carry on the night, so it wasn't really efficient as a runner, but he did have those 2 touchdowns, which were huge. A huge play that altered this game was later in the game. Christian Kirk had a drag route over the middle, 44-yard touchdown. He ended the day 6 receptions, 90 yards. Calvin Ridley, again, horrible day. He's really just fell off after that first week. 1 catch, 5 yards for him. Tim Jones had more receiving yards and catches than Calvin Ridley did. This game was pretty controlled by the Jaguars, but the Saints kind of stormed back towards the end. They play kind of like the Steelers, remind me. Had a little bit of good offense towards the end, but the Jaguars won this one 31-24. The Browns-Colts game was definitely an interesting game. It came down to a controversial pass interference call that was definitely not a pass interference. Went the Browns' way. But Deshaun Watson he had 5 pass attempts in this game before he went out. Was 1 for 5. Again, still struggling with his shoulder. PJ Walker came in, though, had 15 of 32 attempts and 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. On the other side, Gardner Minshew was 15 of 23, only threw it 23 times. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 305 yards. Quite impressive there. For Cleveland, a lot of the scoring came on the ground. Kareem Hunt only had 31 rushing yards, but 2 touchdowns on the ground. Jerome Ford also had a touchdown to his name. But the big storyline of this game was Myles Garrett had a heck of a game. He really did. Myles Garrett blocked the field goal. Quite crazy. I mean, you don't see DNs even playing on field goal snaps, but he jumped over a tackle, blocked a field goal, had 2 sacks, had a forced fumble, a TFL, pass deflection. Just such a game from Myles Garrett. He really is so good. Jonathan Taylor had a touchdown, 18 carries, 75 yards. His duo in the backfield, Zach Moss, had also 18 carries, but for 57, so flip the numbers. No touchdowns. Josh Downs, rookie out of North Carolina, 5 catches, 125 yards, and a touchdown. His touchdown was a 59-yarder. Michael Pittman also had a 75-yard reception in this game. Quite a game for them. And this game came down, again, like I said, to the last play. The Browns took it 39-38 on some really controversial calls, but the Browns moved to 4-2. The Bills-Patriots game started with an early interception thrown by Josh Allen to Jabril Peppers, but this was really such a surprise. In New England, Mac Jones had a masterclass after getting benched after all these past weeks of being so bad. 25 of 30. Great efficiency. 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Only got sacked once. What a game from him. The Patriots didn't do much on the ground. Ramondre Stevenson only 34 yards rushing, but they distributed the ball. There were 5 receivers, including Ramondre Stevenson, the running back, over 50 yards in this game for the Patriots. So Mac Jones distributed the ball around. On the other side, Josh Allen, like I said, had that pick, kind of hurt them. James Cook, 13 carries, 56 yards. Josh Allen had a rushing touchdown as well with his 2 passing touchdowns. But Dalton Kincaid was their leading receiver for the Bills, and usually you want Stephon Diggs to be that guy. That's kind of a sign of a good game. Stephon Diggs did have a touchdown, but only 58 yards receiving in this game. James Cook also had a receiving touchdown, and he had 46 yards through the air. Josh Allen also lost a fumble in this game, which really hurt them. This game was just Mac Jones being efficient, distributing the ball, and they ended up winning this one against the Bills, 29-25. Tyrod Taylor started this Giants game against the Commanders, and this was just not a game you really want to watch. Not too fun. Sam Howell, 22 of 42, super inefficient, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Chris Rodriguez, actually, the rookie out of Kentucky, had the most rushing yards for the Commanders with 31. Terry McLaurin, 6 receptions, 90 yards. But there just wasn't much going in this game on either side. Tyrod Taylor had 2 touchdowns, 279 yards passing on only 18 completions is really nice. Saquon, 21 carries for 77 yards. pretty inefficient, honestly. 3.7 yards a carry. Darren Waller was 7 receptions, 98 yards, and a touchdown. Something that we've really been expecting out of him with this offseason, them bringing him over from Las Vegas. Huge storyline here was 6 sacks for the New York Giants. The O-line for the Commanders is really, really bad. They're going to break the record for allowing sacks. Sam Howell allowing sacks. And this ended up being a 14-7 game. The Giants beat the Commanders to move to 2-5, but just really not a fun game to watch. One of the huge games and storylines this week was the Ravens versus Lions matchup, which is supposed to be 2 contenders, one in the NFC and one in the AFC, but the Ravens made their statement. Lamar Jackson went 21 of 27, 357 yards on 21 completions is crazy. And 3 touchdowns, no picks. He had an MVP game if there ever was one. Also ran the ball 36 yards and a touchdown like he loves to do for my fantasy team. They just dominated this game. The Lions didn't have much to show. Jared Goff was 33 of 53, 1 pick, no touchdowns. Really surprising to see there. Jahmyr Gibbs got the start with David Montgomery being out. He had 1 touchdown, 11 carries, 68 yards, but they were down early and down big, so he didn't really get to run the ball much. Only 14 carries for the whole Lions team. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 102 yards on 13 catches, so still a great day of production for him. Gus Edwards had a 1 catch for 80 yards, which is just a huge catch for a running back. And this Ravens defense really showed out. 5 sacks and really just held this Lions offense, which is so good usually, to absolutely nothing, and the Ravens won this game 38-6, making a huge statement on who is really a playoff contender. One of the coolest stories, Tyson Bagent, who is a rookie out of Shepherd, which is a D2 school, got a start in Chicago against Las Vegas, and he went 21 of 29, 162 yards, not many yards, but still great efficiency, and a touchdown, no picks. He did what he had to do, and on the other side of the ball, Brian Hoyer, 2 picks, no touchdowns, 129 yards, really rough for him. Aiden O'Connell came in, really efficient, 10 of 13, 75 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Josh Jacobs, again, looked really rough, 3.2 yards a carry, 11 carries, 35 yards. On the other side, Deontay Foreman had 2 rushing touchdowns. If you have him in fantasy, good stuff. 16 carries, 89 yards. And this Bears team really just whomped on a really bad Raiders team. This was just 2 teams that just aren't awesome, and I'm not sure how Devontae Adams is going to stay with the Raiders because this team's not showing much. I know Jimmy Garoppolo's out, but it's just not fun to watch. The leading receiver, ironically, for the Bears, who put up 30 points, was DJ Moore, who had 54 yards. So not much going through the air in this one. Just a lot of, not even that much going through the ground. It was really just not, it was really just getting turnovers and field position, and they dominated this game. The Bears won this 30-12. The Falcons played in Tampa in an NFC South divisional game. And Desmond Ridder, the story of this was Desmond Ridder being really efficient, having a great passing day, but also having 3 fumbles, all of which he lost. You just cannot do that. You cannot do that. Baker Mayfield, on the other hand, was 27 of 42, 275 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Not much going on the ground for the Buccaneers, only 73 yards. Mike Evans, 6 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Great day for him. But the Falcons, Desmond Ridder, 19 of 25 for 250 is amazing. Can't fumble 3 times. Just can't do that. Bijan Robinson was the story for fantasy people and for non-fantasy people. He reportedly had a headache, but Arthur Smith and the Falcons never disclosed that prior to the game. So people were really confused when he got 1 carry in this game. Everyone was like, what are we doing? There was no injury, no illness. What are we doing? It came out after the game, and there might be some disciplinary action taken towards the Falcons because they didn't disclose it properly before the game. Their leading receiver, though, was Drake London with 54 yards. Second to that was Tyler Algier, the running back. 3 catches, 53 yards. So really not much offense in this whole game here. But the Falcons end up hanging on to this one in Tampa Bay to go to 4-3. This game was 16-13 Falcons. The Seahawks took on the Cardinals in an NFC West division showdown, and this was really the story of the rookie receivers for the Seahawks. Both of their receiving touchdowns were from rookies. Jackson Smith-Njigba, the rookie out of Ohio State, I believe he was the 20th overall pick. And Jake Bobo, I believe he didn't get drafted at all. I think he was an undrafted free agent out of UCLA, had a super slow 40, but just such a player you want to root for. He had an amazing touchdown catch in the back corner. And those two were responsible for their 2 receiving touchdowns. Geno had a really efficient game, 18 of 24, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Kenneth Walker got 26 carries for 105 yards, pretty decent, 4 yards a carry. And the Cardinals really just weren't getting much going. Josh Dobbs, 19 of 33, 146 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He's just doing the best he can, kind of protecting the ball. And they had 127 rush yards, which was nice, between Amari DiMercado, Rondale Moore, and Joshua Dobbs. Marquise Brown had 49 receiving yards as their leading receiver. You can't really do much with that. And the Seahawks defense got to the quarterback 4 times. The Seahawks should be winning this game by a lot more for how good they are compared to the Cardinals, but it didn't end up that way, and they won 20-10. One team that's really starting to worry me is the Green Bay Packers, and especially their offense. They played the Broncos, and Jordan Love was 21 of 31 for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Kind of solid, but on the ground, A.J. Dillon was the leading rusher. Aaron Jones is still having problems with his hamstring, I believe, so he only had 35 rushing yards on 8 carries. Receiving-wise, the leading receiver was A.J. Dillon with 34 yards. You just can't have that. You really cannot have that. This Packers offense is really starting to look rough. I'm not really trusting in it much. Russell Wilson on the other side of the ball for the Broncos, 20 of 29, 1 touchdown, no picks. Javonte Williams finally got his carries back, 15 carries, 82 yards. That's 5.5 a carry, really solid. Courtland Sutton was 6 receptions, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Good day for him, finally getting him back on the map. But this game, again, just bad offense versus bad offense. The Broncos really held on to the ball more in this one and won 19-17. The Chiefs and the Chargers faced off in a really high-powered game, but Mahomes prevailed, 32 of 42, 424 yards passing, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. Just amazing stuff by the best quarterback ever, maybe the greatest quarterback ever. On the other side, Justin Herbert was 17 of 30 with 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. The picks hurt really, really bad. Rushing-wise, Eckler had 14 carries for only 45 yards, while Josh Kelly, his backup, had half of his carries, 7, for 75 yards. So 30 more yards. He averaged 10.7 yards a carry, and he had a touchdown. So interesting from the backup running back being far better than the starter. Josh Palmer had 5 catches, 133 yards. Big day for Josh Palmer. He seemed to step into that Mike Williams role pretty well. Isaiah Pacheco really was rough on the ground. 13 carries, 32 yards. That's only 2.5 a carry. Travis Kelce. The story of this game is Travis Kelce. 12 catches, 179 yards, which is 15 a catch and a touchdown. So what a game by him. Mahomes and Kelce, unstoppable until proven wrong. So they took this one just because... They took this one 31-17 over the Chargers. The Steelers-Rams game was certainly a game of all time. Kenny Pickett was 17 of 25, 230 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. The Steelers finally got the ground game going again. Najee Harris, 14 carries, 53 yards. Not that great of a stat line, but he did have a rushing touchdown, which I don't remember the last time he's had one. We had our first rushing touchdown, the Steelers did, this week, all year. So Jaylen Warren also had a rushing touchdown, and Kenny Pickett also had a rushing touchdown. So we had 3 of them when we got our first as well. George Pickens, another great day. 5 catches, 107 yards. Deontay Johnson back on the field. 5 catches, 79 yards. Great to see him back. Matthew Stafford only completed 14 passes in this game, but he had 231 yards, and a lot of them went to Puka Nacua, who really ate up against this really bad Steelers secondary. 8 catches, 154 yards, but Cooper Kupp, who you would think would be the guy, 2 catches, 29 yards. So great job of the Steelers to contain one of them at least, but you still can't give up that many to Puka Nacua. In the second half, to start the second half, TJ Watt had a lurk interception. He can really do it all. That's my defensive player of the year until further notice. He really can do it all. And there was a really controversial call at the end of the game. It wasn't really, honestly, because Kenny Pickett was far short of the first down on 4th down to give the Rams the ball back. And Sean McVay, since it wasn't within 2 minutes and he had no more challenges, could not challenge it. And it was so clear Kenny Pickett was down, was short. I feel bad for the Rams because they should have got the ball back. They did not. The Steelers won this one 24-17 to move to 4-2. It's widely known that the Miami Dolphins are pretty banged up right now, and Jalen Waddle went out in this game as well. This was a great matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and Miami Dolphins. Tua had 23 Tua went 23 of 32 for 216 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Pretty solid game. Jalen Hurts, 23 of 31, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And Tyreek Hill was 11 catches, 88 yards, and a touchdown. He had a great corner touchdown. Great throw by Tua. A.J. Brown on the other side, though, 10 catches, 137 yards, and a touchdown. Goddard also, 5 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. This was just one of those two really good teams playing. You could tell the Dolphins were missing a lot of players, especially on defense. And this would have been closer, most likely, with those players, but we could see this matchup again, maybe in the Super Bowl. Who knows? The Eagles take this one 31-17. A lot of people talk about primetime Kirk Cousins, and he got a chance to play on Monday night against the 49ers in Minnesota, and sure did he play. 35 of 45, 378 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Just a great showing by him. Also, Jordan Addison stepping in for Justin Jefferson, 7 catches, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns for Jordan Addison. Just a great game from him. Went out for a little bit with a foot injury, but came back in and kept eating. Great for my fantasy team. Love him. Also, Pitt legend, USC legend. I don't care about USC. Off topic. Brock Purdy. Big story here. He was great for the first part of the game, and then he all of a sudden was really bad, immediately threw a pick, then threw another really bad pick to end the game. And then after the game, a couple of days, the news came out that he suffered a concussion. And if you track when he suffered that concussion to when he started playing bad, it would lined up perfectly. And we saw this last year with Tua Tagovailoa in the Green Bay Packers game, where immediately he started throwing horrible picks, and then they sourced it back to being a concussion. So this was definitely the case here, and he is cleared to play this week, which is very surprising. But Brock Purdy was concussed, and I believe that's a big reason he started playing worse. Christian McCaffrey, 15 carries, 45 yards. Not efficient at all for him, but he did have his touchdown. He scores one in every game. It's inevitable. Cam Bynum for Minnesota had 2 picks, including the game-sealing pick. He put the stamp on it, and the Vikings won this game to move to 3-4 over the 49ers, who have now dropped 2 in a row. The final score was 22-17. Thank you so much for watching my Week 7 recap, and I will be back for Week 8.